It's Tuesday, October 31st, 2023. It's Halloween. So while a lot of adults will probably be running out tonight in their Spider-Man and Superman costumes, we're getting a little work done here at the range. And this is so important. You know, Matt and I, we were actually the other day thinking like, oh, maybe we'll run down to the beach on Tuesday. We didn't have a lot going on today. And we're like, you know, contemplating, maybe run into Orange County, have a little lunch, hit the beach for a little bit and see what was going on. And Matt said, no way, we got to train today. So here we are at the range. It's going to be a 4-hour day. And this stuff is so imperative. So Matt, thank you for making sure we're not at the beach today. We're actually training. We're going to get back to training. We've been here for about an hour, but I want to just discuss with everybody. Now, by the way, some of the training stuff I will put on Facebook and X. YouTube doesn't really like this stuff. So we'll be respectful of the rules. It'll be on X. It'll be on Facebook. So check that out. Jeremiah Babe at X, Facebook, Jeremiah Babe. Matt, you're doing a show.
Yeah, Ox Talks, OXTALKS. Appreciate all the love lately you guys have been giving me, and the subscription. So come check out the channel. We're doing current events, doing some legal stuff, and fitness. It's all encompassing.
All the stuff that you need to be doing. Really quick, before we get back into training today, right now markets are still open. They're up a little bit, but some of the stuff that's been going around is now Charles Schwab is going to be laying off more people. We see Jamie Dimon going to be selling $148 million of JP Morgan stock. What does this mean when we're seeing Schwab laying off people, banks all across the globe laying off people? Jamie Dimon, who is a billionaire, selling $148 billion, or excuse me, million. $148 million of JP Morgan stock. What does this mean, Matt?
Well, and that's his first, I understand, that's his first sale of stock ever while he's been at JP Morgan.
In 18 years.
So look, these guys at the top, we've talked about this before, they have teams of people researching, trying to forecast what's coming, what is lying ahead. And when you see pullbacks like this at a huge brokerage house like Charles Schwab, you see a guy like Jamie Dimon selling stock, we all should wake up and take notice of that.
A lot of these big players, whether it's banks or Apple, a lot of these big players are getting out of the stock market, and unfortunately, they're going to convince people and fool people into buying these dips. If you want to call them that, these dips, these sucker dips. They're going to get more retail investors into buying these dips, and when they pull the rug out, ladies and gentlemen, people are going to lose it all. And you have friends that are heavily invested in the market. I talk to people daily that it's literally a religion now to be in these markets. But so many people are so far in, so deep in, they cannot even get out. They can't even see the light at this point.
That's the problem, is that they don't ever think it's going to be a repeat. They always think every day if the market drops a bit, tomorrow's a buying opportunity. I get texts all day from friends of mine saying, oh, it's a great day to buy. Buy on the way down and ride it back up. But there will be a day, and I think that day is fast approaching, where these markets do not bounce. It took 10 years during the last crisis from 08 for you to make your money back in the market. So what's it going to be this time? 15, 20 years. How much time do you have left? Are you using retirement money to gamble in this casino you guys call the stock market? If you are, you better be real careful.
Yes, approach with caution. Another thing today, CNBC came out again with another article saying that 62% of U.S. workers are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, I totally disagree with that number. In fact, just a couple years ago, that number used to be reported by CNBC at 70%. I think that number realistically has got to be at least 80% right now. There are so many people struggling. Matt, what do you think the real number is where people are working paycheck to paycheck?
Yeah, I mean, 80% probably is accurate. Could even be more. Look, we've talked about the food insecurity that's on the rise. We've talked about yesterday, I think on both of our shows, how no one has any savings left. They've burned through all of their money. They're on fumes. So what happens if they lose that job? What happens if they're a casualty of these layoffs you hear about that are going to start coming in waves in the coming months and year? Then what do? You have nothing put away. You have no backup plan, and you're not going to be able to put food on the table for your family.
That's a great point. And I think that that's what we're going to see with a lot of these union jobs now with the big auto makers. They've come to a resolution here, but what's going to happen down the road with the union workers? Now they're saying it's going to be $1,000 more per car that they assemble, but we know that more and more people cannot afford to buy a car as interest rates to buy those cars go up. So more cars will be sitting on the lots, less cars will be produced, and what will the big three automakers do? They're going to cut a lot of these union workers.
Yeah, they're shooting themselves in the foot with this.
So they're gonna get caught, they're gonna lose their job, and then the worst case scenario is these automakers are not sitting back today going, okay, we've got a resolution, it's great, well, this is never going to happen again. They know that the potential here now is that next year it can happen again, 2 years from now it can happen again. So you know what they're going to do. They're going to be looking at putting up more plants in other countries, looking at places like Mexico. That's what I think they're going to do. They're going to begin to build more plants outside of the US, and you're going to see more of these union workers lose their jobs. And you're going to have more people unemployed in America probably in the next 12 to 24 months. What do you see this playing out?
Yeah, that's going to further erode the economy. Not to mention, we have everything at levels that we haven't seen in decades. And you have everything blowing up at the same time. The housing market, interest rates that are 8% now. So look at all this stuff is culminating into one big firestorm, and the unemployment is just I think it's going to be on the rise.
I don't see how it isn't. And tomorrow, Jerome Powell, Fed Chairman, Jerome Powell comes out, and I believe he will pause. I believe he should raise. I believe with what's happening now in the Middle East, what's happening in the bond market, he won't have the guts to raise. And I think Jerome Powell's main objective, main job right now should be getting inflation under control. And unfortunately, he has not done that. And the only way he can do that, well, there's two things that have to happen. The U.S. government has got to stop spending money, and we know that's not going to happen because we're going to see a massive injection of liquidity for what's happening in the Middle East. And Jerome Powell would have to raise rates above the real inflation numbers. There's no way inflation is 9%, 3.7%. Absolutely impossible. Jerome Powell knows, he's got to know that inflation has got to be near double digits. Many of you would argue it's much higher than that. But how do you stomp out inflation when you know it's at least 10%? And we have the Fed's fund rate at what, 5.25%, 5.5%? We're well below what it's going to take to stomp out inflation.
And look, you need to also decrease the money supply. Mm-hmm. And now we're basically involved in two war efforts. They have bills going through Congress to send trillions of dollars.
And the infrastructure.
They're increasing the money supply.
1.5 trillion in infrastructure. And now, Matt, really quick, if you could touch, the U.S. Treasury this year needs another $768 billion. By the first quarter next year, that will be $1.5 trillion. So they're going to sell bonds. Who's going to buy the $768 billion of bonds this year that the Treasury is going to put out there? Who's going to buy all this debt?
Well, we know China's selling. We know foreign countries are dumping U.S. debt at record pace. So who's going to capitalize this?
The only central bank that I think would do it and could do it is the U.S. Fed. So is the Fed going to buy up all of this debt while they're raising interest rates, while bond rates are exploding? And every time we get close to 5 or a little over 5, we're right back down to 4.8, 4.9.
Yeah, if you all can make some sense of it, put the comments down below.
Please comment down
below.
Solve
that problem that
somebody is buying a lot of debt. And I know it's not you. I know it's not me. So who has the ability and power to buy that much debt and take, the 10-year from 5 and change to 4.8 overnight? We've seen 20 basis point swings in a day with the 10-year bond yields.
And for years, you wouldn't see that thing tick plus or minus either way. It was always consistent. And that was the whole point of the bond market, was stable for a period of time.
Right.
Now you're right. I mean, the swings are every day.
Yep.
It's look, it's the man behind the curtain we've talked about all the time, pulling the strings, trying to keep everybody in the mainstream in the dark and not paying attention.
As we close today, do not rely on the system. Don't rely on the police, the bank. You probably can't even rely on your church at this point. You've got to get out of the system. You're going to have to be as self-sufficient as possible. I'm going to continue to repeat this daily. You're going to have to be self-sufficient spiritually, physically, financially, you name it. Nobody is going to look out for you but you. It's very quiet here today. It was busier earlier. We were able to get a rifle bay here today, so we're gonna be able to do some more training. Make sure to check it out on X and Facebook. I'll try to get it out tonight or tomorrow. But this is stuff, as I said yesterday, you need to be investing in, making sure you have the right gear, making sure you have the right equipment, the right tools. The right tools to defend yourself. If you have to pay an instructor, if you have to pay to go to classes, this is money that is well invested. I'd much rather see you invest $1,000 in gear or training or both versus going out to dinner the next couple weeks or going to Las Vegas or taking a weekend trip. This is where you got to do it right now, ladies and gentlemen. It isn't fun. It isn't sexy. It's not exciting. I get it. But this is the stuff that is going to save your life. This is the stuff that gets you from A to B. This is the stuff that puts the odds in your favor in case bad things happen, that your survival rate is much higher. I'm going to leave it there today. Matt, anything you want to close with?
No, I think it's time and it's money well spent. It's a priority. This is a priority that I hope all of you will make a priority in your daily routine. Get up here a couple times a month. Start learning how to defend yourself and your family if you don't already practice that skill. It's not like riding a bike. You have to learn this skill and you have to keep it sharp.
Somebody commented on your show the other night, and just going back to getting yourself in good physical shape. Even when we're out here training, being in the better physical shape you're in, the better chance you're going to have to get off that X, that you're going to be able to move from point A to point B to point C. This is all stuff that is so important. Not just, being able to pick up a tool, a pew-pew, and be able to operate, but actually able to run, to be able to perform with that heart rate up when you're sweating, when your hands are sweating, when you're tired, when your adrenaline is pumping. This is where you begin to learn how to do this. And so many people should have been doing it. So many people have been reaching out to me, especially in the Jewish community, for training, or that they're getting training. And I just ask all those people, where have you been for the last 3 years? Where have you been for the last 3 years? This is where you should have been. But you thought it would never, ever happen, that what we saw happen over in Israel would never happen. And now people are very worried, especially in the Jewish community, that it's going to happen here, which we've seen it happen in the past, but it's going to happen at a much higher level, many people believe, and I believe they're right. And I say to these people, where have you been the last 2 or 3 years? Why have you not been here right now, putting a little structure, a little training, a little discipline in your life? Now all of a sudden, everybody's running, to the store to buy protection. Everybody's running, wanting to teach me how to train, teach me how to defend myself. Where have you been? I mean, this is the stuff. And you know what? When things settle down, a month or 2 or 3, people will go right back to their complacency. And one day it's going to be too late. I'm going to leave it there today. God bless. Check out Matt's channel. Check us out on X, Facebook. God bless. Have a great day. Make sure you're training. Make sure you're in the gym. Make sure you're doing your jiu-jitsu. Make sure, especially, you're walking close to God. Have a good day.